So one of the things that I felt was really helpful back in the day, this is harder now. It's really sad to me. I learned so much about filmmaking from DVDs and then Blu-rays that had like rich behind the scenes material and stuff. It used to be a real marketing tool to try to get you to buy a shiny disc with a movie on it, that they had all this supplemental material. And that stuff is a little harder to come by now. I guess the trade-off is that a lot of that kind of promotional material is available on YouTube and other sources. So what you can sometimes do is, and if you dig back far enough in my blog, you can see examples of this where there would be either a deleted scene from a movie or just a behind the scenes look at how they were filming it. And you could compare the visual look of that with the final film. And it's almost like getting a before and after, right? So you almost see kind of what the colorist almost was handed versus what they came up with in the session. And what an incredible, valuable thing that is. What happens over time, if you watch a movie that has a really aggressive look, especially if you're in a darkened environment like a theater, you have no kind of reset gray card to look at and to sort of reset your eye what's normal. So I remember like watching Inside Llewyn Davis, the Coen Brothers film, and just loving the movie and just really being focused on how much I loved the music that was in it. And a director friend of mine called me afterwards and said, "Do you love the movie? What did you think of that aggressive color grade that they did?" And I thought, I didn't even think about it once. I was so focused on the sound. And I went back and looked. I'm like, oh my God, this movie is like so hammered on from a color correction perspective. It's like unrecognizable. It's like they invented the most bizarre film stock to shoot this movie on. I didn't notice at all because because that wasn't what I was thinking about. I was just enjoying the movie. It's kind of a reminder that if you do it artfully, you can create a world for the viewer where weird color is normal and they will just go along for the ride. Just like Christopher Nolan can create a movie where you can't hear any of the dialogue and you're like, "Yep, that's normal, that's fine, I'm enjoying it." You can really bring the audience on a journey, and when you get to see the before and after from, even if you kind of have to pull it from multiple sources to kind of create it for yourself. You could certainly then go on and do the exercise of trying to recreate it. I'm not going to tell you not to do that, but to me it's less about trying to sketch from the masters than it is about just realizing that they have a lot more creative leeway than you might think. You can teach the audience what's normal and you can lull them into a sense of normalcy with just about any kind of color correction. Now, having said that, the counterpoint to that, and the other thing that I've learned in sessions with professional colorists, I remember I was working with a colorist at Technicolor, and he had like it wasn't a Michael Bay movie, but it was in that tradition of like that kind of extremely punchy, poppy action movie kind of look. He had that up as well, and we were looking at it together. And I was just looking at this like kind of classic, punchy action movie, like Magic Bullet Mojo kind of look. And I was just like, how many nodes did it take to do that? And he said one. And he showed it to me, and he did it entirely with the primary offset gamma gain. That was it. He had one little funky S curve that he ubiquitously used on the whole show. Other than that, he did it all with primaries. There were no secondaries. And this was with a classic example where the skin tones are popping off the screen. And it was just, he just did it with just shadows, highlights. And it was like, I was blown away. The combination was because the movie was beautifully shot. The actors are in professional makeup. They're famous for a reason. They're very good looking. But it was also like this guy understood the aspect of his job, which was to satisfy his client and work fast, right? And so one thing I would caution against is sometimes you see like a tutorial in Resolve that's like step one, 75 nodes, and then step two, 1,000 things. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of colorists out there who don't work that way. They work fast because they got 2,500 shots to do in 4 days. So they look at every qualifier, every tracked mask, every little bit of fix or tweak on a shot as a potential time liability that's going to take quality away from somewhere else in the show. So it's kind of like my double-edged sword of advice is on one hand, it's okay to keep it simple. You're not doing your job. The composer of a film is not doing their job if they leave one part of the film without score. And you are not doing your job if you just do a very subtle tweak on a couple shots. On the other hand, go for it, because the audience doesn't care. Like, and if you've been beaten down by conservative clients who are like, why are you trying to make my Listerine commercial look like a David Fincher film? When you have that opportunity to go for it, you can, because the audience will go along for the ride. And one way to see that is to seek out these kind of befores and afters that are kind of almost accidentally being offered up to you by comparing the behind the scenes footage from a film to the finished piece.